Hello, everyone. Brad Logan alongside Coach Yo, head women's basketball coach at the University of Mississippi, has had a really big year. The slogan, ever since Coach Yo took the helm, if you followed us at all, you've seen there's a lot of no ceilings. And, Coach, this year there's been a lot of records that are continuing to be broken. And one record that continues to be in your favor is against Mississippi State during your time as head coach at Ole Miss. And right now, the tide is in your favor when it goes to Mississippi State, and I know that was a big one for you and the Rebels over Mississippi State here not long ago. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you. It was a huge victory. I mean, it's tough to win games in the hump, and it was just poetic that Maddie in her final competition in the regular season against them uh, was in the fashion that it was. It was just incredible for the whole group.
Taking a look at the season, I've heard a lot of big time basketball coaches say that they learn more in their losses than they do in their wins. And the one loss that kind of jumps out this year is that loss on the road at Texas A&M. What did you learn from your team when you fell against the Aggies? And then what have you been able to take from that loss and to carry it forward to where you are right now?
Well, honestly, as you go through losses, you think your team's learning and they're figuring it out and they won't repeat it again. But that Texas A&M game was a game that we had never experienced with this team, being up and then having someone come back and chip away. Usually we had been down, fought back, or up and just demolished you. So that was a game that was unique for our team because they started to chip away and we basically got cold feet and just froze. And so what I learned is there's so much more that our team needs to learn because you cannot script these things. You have to go through it and um, hopefully never repeat it again. So now I think it's safe to say the only thing we hadn't been in yet is an overtime game. But we've been down, we've been up, and someone came fighting back. And you saw at Mississippi State clearly we've learned from it.
You got an opportunity to face a top 10 team in Texas this Sunday. I know the Sunday afternoon games, Coach, during your tenure at Ole Miss. Um, let's go back to the original or the very first year in which I know that was a struggle, but you were kind of building your program. Those were sometimes big losses against teams like Tennessee and South Carolina. Now that's changed dramatically. You faced and broken records for attendance against LSU, against South Carolina. You've been really, really close, haven't gotten over the hump. This could be an opportunity for that big top 10 win at home. And the Texas Longhorns coming in with a very familiar head coach. Mississippians will know is Coach Vic Schaefer that coached at Mississippi State. I know you're excited about that challenge on Sunday.
Incredibly, I'm very familiar with Vic, obviously, with him being at Mississippi State, and he kind of took that brand and took it with him to Texas. So, not a lot has changed as far as, his strategy and schematics from the whole Vic Schaefer standpoint. But they are a top team in the country, and we usually on Sundays have very good crowds. I expect people to show up and show out as usual. And, our team has to see if, has to perform as if they want to make the next step. Texas is not our first top 10 team we've played. We've actually played two already with Southern Cal and UConn, but not at home. So, I mean, this is an opportunity for us to be at home, to play in front of fans again. Alabama, we had a great crowd, and see what happens.
Let's take a look at your roster this year. Sierra Theater, 12.9 points per game, leading your team. On the board, Star Jacobs at 6.6 rebounds. And then Madison Scott can kind of do it all at 3.9 assists a game. Do you like your team? And is it fair to say that over the last couple of games, specifically the win over Florida and then over Mississippi State, they're starting to feel their way and you're starting to get more of a cohesive unit? I haven't even talked about players like KK Deans that is playing well for you, Kennedy Todd Williams. It seems like the team's kind of gelling at the right point in the season.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and here's the thing: we didn't want to peak too early, and I don't, and we hadn't. But for sure, this group is starting to figure out that we're going to be defensive minded first, and then that's going to be the engine to our offense. Um, this is probably the best offensive team I've had. But now, like you said, Brad, it's the cohesiveness. Just figuring out people's roles and, Sierra Chinu being a freshman, but our leading scorer, like that can be complicated at times because a freshman hadn't had the experience to play in these games. But she's talented and she's competitive, but the leadership from Madison Scott and Kennedy Todd Williams, who played for me last year, for a whole season is going to be huge as we continue to grow. And as you can see, if you look at, the roster, I think my starting five is averages in double digits. So, they can definitely put the ball in the basket. Now it's about them growing and learning and figuring out who each other, what their strengths and weaknesses are, and then putting it together, and then us being able to be connected on the defensive end. But I think by March, we should be rocking and rolling. That's
Yeah,
the goal.
the distribution of the basketball, specifically in the points, you made mention of four players in double digits, no one over 12 points, and then right there around 10 or 11. So, really distributing the basketball well. One thing that has jumped out to me, Coach, and you would obviously know better than anybody, it seems like you guys are shooting the three at a better clip than you have in years past. Sarah at 42.2, Kennedy Todd Williams a little over 30%, and then, of course, Madison Scott right at 36%. The 3-point shot is something that it seems to be maybe a little bit of a struggle in years past, but this year you guys are really knocking down the three at a much better clip.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I think we're making, I know it's the highest it's ever been as far as 3 points made per game. I think that just comes with us getting better talent. You could shoot all day in the gym, but some people just have to be talented. And then Kennedy Todd Williams has been in the gym. KK Dean is a much better shooter than she's shown. So hopefully we can get her and Tamia Sadler going, because then that will continue to increase. I've never been a live by the three, die by the three type person. This is the most points we've scored this season than any other season. And that's because we've gone and gotten better talent. I think right now it's about, like I said before, us just figuring out their roles and being comfortable with it. And I know sometimes fan bases can become impatient, but I don't even want to speak for the men, but both of us, I'm just speak for us. We have new players. It's just gonna take time. That's why the season is so long. And I think as we continue to go through and grow through things, wins and losses, we'll be playing our best basketball in March.
Over 100 3-point shots made this year, which is really good.
I
And
don't know that we made over 100 last year, period.
I don't think so. I don't think so. That's why the percentages are much better, and then the shooting has been
Yeah.
on a really different level. You talk about the team, Coach, and looking at this team, and what do you like about this team? Maybe that you haven't had in years past. I know we've talked about the three, but maybe some specific players that have stepped up for you this year as you get ready for the stretch run in the Southeastern Conference.
Here's what I like about our team. We have versatility, because of the situations, the cards that we've been dealt. Maddie having to play the point last year, Kennedy Todd Williams having to play the point last year. I have 4 point guards now. You know, I have Star Jacobs that's playing the five position, but naturally, when she was two-time player of the year, she played the four. So we have a lot of people that can do a lot of different things, and that is why I think sometimes when we're sharing the ball like we need to, we're hard to guard. Look at our assist rate is off the charts. I was looking at our numbers the other day. I don't have it in front of me, but thinking our assist rate, we're for sure, in top in the SEC. Maybe not one, but we're up there. And that's because the team is getting more comfortable with each other. What I like about, so I think it's the versatility. What I want us to not lose, no matter what is our, identity, which is playing defense. Um, I'm used to having some a little bit more athletic and taller players. So as a coaching staff, we've had to go back and kind of tweak some things defensively, even though our defensive numbers are off the charts. I mean, we're doing really well in a lot of things defensively. But for us to continue to grow, I had to start to meet some of the players where they are. And so, not allowing middle, more so keeping them on the side of the floor, uh, getting them to trust each other out there, relying on the help side defense. Those are the things that if we could just tighten up, when we put it all together, we're going to be dangerous.
I mean, you've got the hat on that says no ceilings, and I talk about breaking glass ceilings, that sort of thing, as you've done a lot of that at Ole Miss. You took over the program, and it was in a really difficult spot. Um, as you sit now, years later, looking back on when you took the program, what are some things that have been rewarding for you, and just how are some what are some areas, or what are you trying to get to as a head coach? What are some things you're kind of looking for that you think you can accomplish at Ole Miss that you haven't already got to?
Yeah, I mean, shoot, where do I start? I mean, first of all, the fan support. I remember, I think it even got controversial last year when I kind of, called up our fans to come out and support because I knew where women's basketball was going. And if you look at the new league Unrivaled and the WNBA and the type of players that are coming out, women's basketball is a thing. And so I kind of wanted the community to join us in that space. And when I tell you they have done that, uh, from having anybody, just counting on one hand, like I think 400 people, to just the other day we had 8,000, 6,000. It's becoming a normalcy. Uh, it's something that I value. Our community has completely gotten behind this women's basketball team. And I think in large part is because we're in the community a lot. So it's like a trade-off. We've become a their team. And it's something that I appreciate, as far as the Oxford community. The records that have been broken, the draft picks, we've had two first round draft picks go. We have, I mean, the list goes on and on. I think there's so many things that are incredibly rewarding from day one to now. I remember losing to Mississippi State by 50 points, 40 points, and now in the last five competitions, we're 4-1. We've really come a long way. What I want, for our program is for us to continue to, uh, get the campus students to come on and support us as well, because the game is so fun. And if we can add them along with the community, I think it would be an incredibly tough environment, for us. But it's unique because we have like this special bond with the Oxford community, And so, if we can get the students to come out, that I would love for that to happen, especially during the week because, like I said, the community does a great job on the weekend. We even change game times because, people need to go to church and then eat and then come to the games. Um, and then honestly, we've been getting this done, Brad. Take Texas and Oklahoma out. Uh, there have only been four programs that have 3 times in a row gone to the NCAA tournament, and we're one of them. You know, and uh, and that is not easy for us to do. But I want to go to a Final Four here. I want to be able to be a perennial Sweet 16 program, like where that is starting to be the expectation. But in order to do that, you guys are going to see on Sunday us play against a team full of All Americans, you know. So as far as figuring out how we can leverage, um, our space so that we can get 5 stars to come to Ole Miss. Like we're playing against teams that got 2, 3. top three draft picks on their team, and we're knocking at the door. And I'm not saying you can't beat them, but when we look at what they have versus we have, there's work to do. So as far as recruiting is concerned, we're being competitive, but staying true to what has worked for us. But the Jessicas and the James, just like the Jimmys and the Joes, they matter. And so if we can get, you know, we're getting ready to play Texas. They got Madison Booker. She's from Germantown, Mississippi. She's an hour and 15 minutes away. How do we keep those type kids home that want to come and put on for their state? How do we do that? Trying to figure that out on a consistent basis, um, and getting kids to come and just hop on the wave so that we could start having some of those players too that make it easy. I remember we were in the game versus SC and Juju took over. You know, we were in the game versus UConn and Paige took over. Right now, Ole Miss women's basketball, and I love that about us, is a phenomenal team. But if we want to make the next step, that superstar mode, we're going to need to be able to grab one or two of them.
You talked about the Oxford community. I know you've got a very good core base of fan support,
Yeah,
regardless of when you guys play. But that Sunday afternoon is almost like a highlight for you guys. And like this particular Sunday, you talked about when Vic Schaefer in Texas comes to town. How important was it for example, last year when LSU came to town and there were, I don't know how many thousands of people,
yeah, I
and,
think
and
they're
did you
like,
can kind of look up and look around because you remember when you took over the program, I think I was there for the first game, coach. There might have been 100, 150
yeah,
people.
yeah. I
So
mean,
it's got to be rewarding. I understand, I made mention that Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss football, you can't just walk into the national championship. You've got to stop knocking at the door, and eventually
exactly.
the door's going to fall. And you said it just a moment ago. That's the same thing can be said for top five teams in Oxford.
Absolutely.
Is that something that you kind of look at? We keep doing this, we're going to get over the hump. Is that something
Yeah,
that you tell your players and your staff?
for sure. It was a point where if we had gotten a good crowd and we didn't win, like I would sink under the rug because I would feel like no one would come back out. Like they gave us one shot and then they wanted us to just figure out how to win a national championship that right then and there. Our fans are way more educated, way more supportive than in the beginning. That's proof of concept, right? You had to win. And I never worry about if they're going to come out on a Sunday game. I know this game is going to be packed. Now, it's alumni weekend. It's a brand name coming in. They're ranked. But one of the things that Don Staley told me was after last year when we didn't beat LSU. And she said, yo, it takes a while for your team to be comfortable playing in front of large crowds if it's not normal, you know? And she said, it even takes a while for my new players, to be comfortable playing in front of a large crowd, 12,000, 14,000 that they average at South Carolina. And so the more we can have crowds come out and support us, the more normal it will become and our players will embrace it. It's not an excuse. This is what someone who averages 12,000 fans tells me, that it is something that you have to get used to. When there 3,000 people, I can coach throughout the game. They can hear me. When it's 8,000, it's a different type of vibe. But I swear, I don't think football would accomplish what they've accomplished, nor men's basketball, without the six man. That fan support, when we went to NC State and we got it within 1 point, the place erupted. It was sold out. Sit and their butts in the seats. We need home court advantage. We need them to will us to a win, help us. And I think our student athletes deserve it, and they have definitely appreciated it as it's grown, and so have.
It's a big one on Sunday. Coach Yolett McPhee McCuin joining us here on the Bleav in Ole Miss podcast. Coach, thank you very much, and we appreciate it. Look forward to talking with you down the road, and best of luck on Sunday against the Texas Longhorns.
Thank you so much, Brad. Hopefully I'll see you there too. Hotty toddy.